how there's the main book, but if you just get the main book, you're going to get bored of it pretty quick because it's not a very big book, and so there's not a lot of variety among creatures and monsters.
Greetings, small one. Are you prepared to take up arms and destroy those who would stand against us?
Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. It is not supposed to be as hot today as it was yesterday, and yesterday it was near 80. It was hot. Oh boy. Or was it in the 80s? I can't remember. It was just hot yesterday. It's not supposed to be as hot today, in the mid-70s. Now that we're getting close to October 1st. Yay. Still though, that's a good thing. And I slept last night, though I slept in an extra 45 minutes by choice, so I'm all behind. But oh boy, the air quality can't be great today because I have been hacking and wheezing and sneezing. First thing this morning, sat down, 4 full body sneezes. I'm of the age that I have dad sneezes now. They involve my whole body. And if they're hard, that's like, oh, full body pain and fatigue, so fun sneezing. Choked to death here. And of course, front loading of videos. If you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, that would be double plus good. And I'd like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and awesome people are, in fact, literally beautiful and literally awesome. Without their help, I would be hosed like a Christmas monkey. And that's not a good way to be hosed. In fact, I'm going to talk about hosings later on. But these people help to keep me and my pets alive. And if you would like to help me keep me and my pets alive, I have links to my Patreon in the video description. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, there's links to a PayPal for donations. If you'd like to help. God's above. I am so juicy today. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron or anything like that, there's an Amazon wishlist link. And of course, I have a post office box so you can send me anything from postcards, keychains, to whatever you would like. Thumbs up and front loading of videos over. This air quality and stuff, I am just juicy this morning. My sincere apologies. Oy vey. So yeah, I'm going to talk some about this because it halfway ruined my day. And it's nobody's fault, but it's biology, and that makes it even better. I contacted the VA homeless people through a chat thing. Turned out to be just a layer of administration on top of a process, and they said they would email the actual homeless people at the VA, so that they would call me. And then a few days after that, I got a call from the VA, but I wasn't there to catch it, so I was going to call them on Monday. Yesterday rolled by, and I was sitting here trying to get up the gumption to make some phone calls for some things, not government agencies, and the phone rang, and I had it up here next to me. It was the VA, so I started talking to them. My therapist tells me one of his clients became homeless, contacted the VA homeless people. Within a day, they had him within a place with a home, a bunch of things fixed up, and if he has appointments he has to get to, he just contacts his social worker. The social worker calls an Uber or a Lyft, and he gets a ride to wherever he has to go. Sounds like this. Pretty good services. I've been wondering, do I have to actually become homeless to get any help? Or is it you can get help at risk of homelessness so that you don't have to become homeless before you can get help? Because if you are at risk of becoming homeless, it might cost X number of dollars to keep you from becoming homeless. But if you fall and they have to lift you back up, that's X number of dollars times 10 to lift you back up to where you were. So they contacted me, I talked to them, and they gave me phone numbers for 2 places in the community that if I need to move, they will help me pay for first, last, and the security deposit. And that's it. The VA homeless people gave me numbers for 2 places in town here. And that's it. No help. I can't move. There's no place to move to. Even if I get help to pay first, last, and deposit, I can't move. I can't pay for anything to move my stuff. So if the VA homeless people are going to help me, I have to become homeless and lose everything I own so they can spend 10 times as much money to lift me back up to where I was before I fell instead of helping to keep me from falling. They're willing to spend, $100,000 to lift me back up to here instead of spending $2,000 to keep me from falling. So I gotta talk to my therapist because halfway through that I started feeling anxious through the call. Because as much as she was trying to help, she was also not listening to one thing that I kept repeating, and that didn't help. So by the time the phone call was over, I thought, I'm feeling kind of anxious, but I don't think it's a full anxiety attack. It was a minor anxiety attack. I was up and pacing the rest of my day from 3 o'clock onward was shot. I was dealing with anxiety instead of anything that I wanted to do. And of course, one of the issues with anxiety is the only medication they really have that I know of. I mean, things may have changed in the past couple of years, but up until the only thing they have to treat them is benzodiazepines. I can't imagine that's really changed. I haven't heard of any big changes. But benzodiazepines are also, number one, very addictive, and we have no real after treatment for people who have been addicted to benzos. And number two, when you take it, generally you get really tired. And I don't want to fall asleep and lose a day because I'm having anxiety. I want to get rid of my anxiety, but not lose the rest of the day. So my day was shot after that as I was trying to deal with the anxiety. Then I went on walkies. When I came back from walkies, finally, physical exertion and emptying my mind can help. And it finally did. But I couldn't go walkies until then because of the heat. It was so hot. So yesterday was a good day. On the other hand, I want to talk real quick about this too. I have been watching a lot of videos about solo RPGs. I've mentioned that before. There is one channel, The Dungeon Dive, that does a lot of stuff on solo RPGs. And he did like a 9-video deep dive into the 4 Against Darkness series. How there's the main book, but if you just get the main book, you're going to get bored of it pretty quick. Because it's not a very big book, and so there's not a lot of variety among creatures and monsters. And so he talked about a lot of the supplements that he has, how much they cost, what you can do, which ones you should get, which ones to not worry about. And from what he's talked about, there's like a 6-book core set that you should really worry about. Depending on how things go, on when I get paid on the 3rd of this month, I'm going to check my finances, and if I can afford it, because they are moderately cheap because they're just PDFs that you have to print, and I can get them printed up at the library, if it's not bad, I'm going to see about getting at least the core book, maybe 1 or 2 supplements. I'm not going to spend like, what is it, like $8 times 6? What the heck is that? Like almost $50 in one swell foop? I don't even know if I would like it. So if I get any, it'll be like 1, 2, 3 books. So we shall see. Thumbs up for that. So with the solo RPGs I have and the solo RPGs that I'm still looking to get and all that stuff, definitely thumbs up. And as I told my therapist, one of the reasons that I'm also interested in all of the solo RPG stuff is because of my ADHD, I need to stay entertained. And if I become homeless, I'm not going to be able to use my consoles or my computer or any electronic things to stay entertained. And I don't want to just stare out into the darkness and stuff because I have nothing left. I can fit my solo RPG stuff in a backpack and not really lose a lot of space. So I can carry clothing and whatever in my backpacks and that to keep me entertained. Thumbs up. There are also other things I do want to talk about. I watched this one video that was all about why we can't pay attention to games anymore and how in modern times, it's not a big change. This is the way our brains have always been. We just have ways that we can actually feed our brains this way. Multimedia multitasking. that there are so many people that even when they're talking and doing interviews like on Zoom calls, they're also playing something in the background. And I am one of those people that when I play a video game, I turn off the music and I play a YouTube video as a podcast to listen to as I play the game. Only when the game is intense, where if I try to focus on the game, I'm going to get hooked on the game, on what's happening in the video that's playing, I'm going to suffer. So I will pause the video, come back, unpause, play the game. As soon as I'm out of the intense section, pause, go back out, restart the video, and then restart the game again. But that is a very common thing, and they find it more among younger types. Boomers and such like that don't really deal with that. And even though I'm by age a boomer, I was born in 62, and up to 64 you're supposed to be a boomer. But while I was born in the boomer age by 2 years, I was raised as Gen X. So I grew up at about age 12, 14 or so. We got a console, an Atari VCS, and then from there I grew up playing computer games and arcades. So I grew up with electronic stuff, just the early electronic stuff. I mean, my second computer, because I got a VIC-20 with a big 2 kilobytes of user RAM, was the Commodore 64 with a huge 4 kilobytes of RAM, 2 of which you could actually use for the user. So that was pretty intense. Oy vey. But checking up my list, I still do have more. Yesterday, because I had taken so much of my blood pressure stuff the night before, and I checked up on the medication that I was taking, and they say you should take a maximum of 4 milligrams in a day. Well, I hadn't even taken 4. I had just taken 3 along with my Ritalin. 3 tablets of Ritalin, 3 tablets of the blood pressure med. I was out walkies. I was feeling really dizzy. I was worried I had taken too much blood pressure medication. Yesterday, after I took a Ritalin, I took my blood pressure. It was fine. Took another Ritalin at noon. Checked my blood pressure later. It was still like 127/60 something. I had enough blood pressure meds in me that this drug, Ritalin, that raises my blood pressure up, was barely keeping it where it used to be 2 years ago. So yesterday, I took half a blood pressure tablet toward the end of the night. And everything turned out okay. Yay! Oh, but that's a dangerous game and I'm an idiot. I mean, all the stuff is prescribed for me. I'm using it as I'm supposed to. But medications are dangerous. Especially Tylenol. Be careful. Tylenol is so dangerous it will kill you before you even think about it. Like 60,000 people a year die from Tylenol overdose. So be careful. Now, taking a look on my list to see if there's anything. Yes, on the razor's edge stuff, because of my anxiety, I wasn't able to deal with a whole lot when I was out walkies. But I tried to think of some things because the cryptids, and I'm talking about the cryptid part of the setting of the inside-outside razor's edge thing, because the cryptids are changing, especially cryptids like Lynn Tanner, who is approaching 40 years old, which among cryptids of his type is ancient. He is a urban legend, wandering stranger, agent of chaos / serial killer. He does not know what he's going to do when he feels that wandering itch and starts out going places until he finds the place that the itch stops. He never knows if it's becoming an agent of change or if the bodies are going to start piling up. So he's a dark cryptid because he has that genetic deficiency. He has to devour a few human beings every year, just a couple. But he's also changing as a cryptid because he realizes he is part of a problem. He has devoured through his almost 40 years of life about 25 or so cryptids. And he is realizing that this is not really a good thing. Because cryptids of his type and other dark cryptids aren't supposed to be able to form actual friendships, but he formed an actual friendship with another cryptid who was much physically tougher than him, but got torn apart and eaten by a monster in a basement. And now Lynn Tanner, is suffering grief and mourning his lost friend and does not know how to deal with it. Cryptids, up until, for his 30 some odd years until this point here, he dealt with grief and mourning the way 99% of all cryptids deal with it, by just, it doesn't matter, you forget it, the grief never existed. Even if you're a parent and you watch your child get devoured in front of you, your general attitude was this, well, still got 4 kids left and breeding season's coming up, we can always have more. But that's changing. Polly, who's a younger cryptid, she is an advocate and a speaker out for stopping cryptid on cryptid stuff. She was traumatized as a young cryptid when one of her friends at age 12 was devoured in front of her eyes. She does not want that to happen to any other cryptid out there. So she is advocating for change. Tanner is dealing with his grief from his friend who's lost, but doesn't really know how to deal with it. Which is why he talks to one of the people from the Razor's Edge, Trevor Savick, who is also, he's got his cryptid vision. One of the very few that can deal with our world, their world on the Razor's Edge, and the cryptid setting as well. So Tanner has to come up and ask him, you have said you come from a place where violence like this is normal. How do you deal with this grief? Because on the Razor's Edge, everybody has a story where, it was just random luck that your friend, your family member, the person on the street got devoured alive in front of you when it was like a coin flip. Could have been them, could have been you, just happened to be them. Everybody's got a story like that. So yeah, he's used to the horrific violence. And one of the things that Trevor Savick is saying is, we deal with grief the way most people deal with grief. Largely we run away from it. But he is trying to figure out a way to help people that are hurting. And one of the things that he does, just for Lynn Tanner, is to say, I never knew your friend. Now I've forgotten his name already. It's that ice cream name, and I've forgotten it already. But if he was your friend, he must have been something. Can you tell me about him so that I can know him a little better? And one of the things that really helps is talking out your feelings, talking about it. And so Lynn Tanner, not knowing what's going on, just starts talking about his friend Cornetto, who got killed, and spends all night just talking out his feelings about this. And that helps Lynn, and that's a good thing. And I've opened up 24 hours with the comments on my community tab. I'm going to go through and thank how many people have left me a comment in the past 24 hours, especially if you've watched this far. Thank you so very much. No one forces you to watch, and I know I'm an older guy. I'm not exactly the kind of thing that appeals to everybody, but still, thank you very much. No one forced you to watch this far, and if you have, you did it because you wanted to. Thank you so very much. Now, if I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended, and even though I can't American Sign Language, well, you've already seen how I pronounce intended. So we have Chris, thumbs up, thank you. Good to see you in the comments. And Morrowind is fun, though. Oy vey, Wolverine Hall. Sebastian Ferris, thumbs up, and I'm hoping to fight through my ADHD and get that series watched here soon. We have Malice, who I do not blame Malice for saying, can you not make your title this? And it's, furries and vor. So I thought of making the title Furry Inflation Vor, but I don't think that would help. We have Melissa R. Always good to see you in the comments. Hopefully We'll see you again. Chris Browning, greatly appreciated. And holy smokes, Wolverine Hall, I tell you. We have Ben B, greatly appreciated. Always good to see you in the comments. Jesse Koskinen, son of a gun. They really should make it for the Switch. They should. They're missing out. RJ Mitchell, excuse me. Thumbs up. Thank you very, very much. And there is AMELIOKAS 69, thumbs up and thank you much. Catherine, I imagine KAFFRYN. And then there's Bruh Man, thumbs up and thank you. Yeah, that is a heck of a title, isn't it? Unbearable Suffering, with a very good idea. And thumbs up, 12 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours to get me out of my head and into the world and dealing with real people, if only in text and if only for a short time. Greatly appreciated. My computer is starting to make little noises again. I think one of the bearings is going out of one of my fans. Again. So I'm going to have to replace that soon. Again. Joy. Still though, I'm going to try and get done the things that I need to get done. Hopefully you can get done the things that you need to get done. If you can't, don't beat yourself up. There's no need for that. And of course, with diseases a-raging and thousands of people dying every week in the United States, please take precautions appropriate for your situation and location. You don't need to get sick. You don't need to make other people sick. You don't need to suffer the long-term effects of becoming sick. You don't need to toss your body or anybody else's body onto the end-of-life corpse pile before you have to. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is a very good thing.